All right, and we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with breakdown show number 2 of the week. Got the LFA 163 and Cage Warriors 157 betting breakdown show here. Just going to go through both these cards a little bit quicker, maybe, than usual, but go through the lines I currently see available and any thoughts I have on potential bets for Friday's MMA, basically. So, thank you for those who are joining. Appreciate all of y'all in the chat. Appreciate all the support from everybody as well, and the understanding as the schedules change a little. But yeah, we got the show out Friday. MMA is cash, as we know. So we're gonna start with the Cage Warriors breakdowns and move our way through. Um, but once again, appreciate the people who are joining. So we'll go ahead and get in. How'd the weigh-ins go for Cage Warriors? Is kind of cagey with their weigh-in info. This will not be based on the weigh-ins. This is just based on tape and overall thoughts. AOF in the building. Good to see you, Mick. Good to see you, Moise. But yeah, we got CFFC as well this weekend, so plenty of other ACA as well, but I'm not going to be getting into the ACA at all. The Cage Warriors card, 15 bouts. We've had a few guys drop off, but we start with a good prelim. I am excited about Tom Creasey and Andrew Sanchez, mostly because I didn't think a whole lot about what I saw of Tom Creasey, brother of Sam Creasey here. I think Andrew Sanchez is I think the secret's already out. Opened as the slight dog. He is now the slight favorite. He is at minus 125. I like Andrew Sanchez in this spot. He is younger, faced a better level of competition. I think he's a little more dangerous. Had that quick knockout of Connor Wilson. Good prospect. Went the distance with Lerner Kavanaugh, who, as we know, is a pretty good guy in himself. And then Ryan Hewitt. And the last one showed the submission skills. So pretty well rounded on the regional scene in Spain, mostly known for his grappling, but was into IMMAF as well. So good amateur experience. Tom Creasey, it's been off for a while, then came back in 2022 with a win over Ryan Curtis. Wasn't able to find the fight, nor familiar with him, but prior to that, just didn't face a great level of competition. 1-11, lost to Simone Diana by majority decision back in 2017. Knocked out a no-name and a decision with a guy Navi Shahai, who was owned one. Took off 3 years. Came back. Still has been inactive since then, only fighting once in that time. I like the level of competition. I like how Andrew Sanchez has looked at it, and I also like the line at minus 125. Yeah, he did win round one against Lunaire. I agree he's good, and I think you're getting a discount on him because he's facing a Creasey. I don't think Tom is anywhere close. So I got Andrew Sanchez, and I have bet him at minus 105. I got him at he's at minus 125. Next fight, 145. Good fight. I think much closer than the odds would indicate here between George Tanase, who's son of Dracula, and Wesley Machado. George Tanase, 28 years old as well. He's fighting out of Romania. Good draw with Scott Peterson. Scott Peterson 1-3, however, coming into the fight. It was, I think, an opportunity for Tanase to show a lot more than he had, having lost his debut to Bertinazi and then Alex Bodnar, 3-1, lost to him in 2021. Both those coming by decision. Was over with Cage Warriors Academy as an amateur as well, so has a lot of experience with Cage Warriors. But, I think at times he a little bit too technical, if anything, for me. He had a majority draw with Bodnar as a amateur as well, so twice he's kind of just come up short, but he does fight competitive in a lot of these fights, and that's kind of where my hesitation is and where the odds are. 3-3 Wesley Machado has faced a decent level of competition, but kind of has been exposed in the grappling in a couple of these fights, even though he does have a few wins by submission himself. In Junior Morgan, kind of that's what you're going to do against Junior Morgan. The Bagley fight was, a rough look, having back in March of this year as well. George, I don't think is quite the level of grappler that Bagley is, so there is that. And I just think overall Tanase does fight to his level of competition. I think this is a fight where I definitely could see the dog playing spoiler. I like Machado. If I was making the bet, it's dog or pass for me. Plus 200 on Machado. It is tempting, though. He did look out of his sorts against Bagley, but again, Nick Bagley, I rate pretty highly myself. I don't think George is on that level. I don't think he should be a minus 275 favorite. So, dog or pass there for me. Bailey Gilbert versus Tom Mearns. Tom Mearns has fought a ton. He's fought a ton of guys. This fight is at featherweight. He's fought at catchweight. He's fought lightweight. And he's fought at featherweight as well. 9-8 record, but he does fight pretty much anybody you put in front of him. Was on a 3-fight win streak against decent levels of competition, getting the splits over Anwardi and Ndoye before unanimous over undefeated Orlando Prince. So definitely shows a bit of the level at times. Is a bit of a gatekeeper. Malad Ahadi, I do rate pretty highly. He wasn't put away by him, so there's that. Again, he's fought pretty good guys throughout his career. And he has been put away in a few of these fights as well. He's been knocked out once and submitted twice. Bailey Gilbert, definitely a hard hitter. Definitely going to want to keep this on the feet. Only 23 years old as well. So there's a significant age difference here. Decent grappling out of Bailey as well. Used it to set up the ground and pound in his last 2 wins, including over Thomas Paul back in December. So good win there. You likes the head and arms triangle choke quite a bit, has a couple of triangle chokes, the inverted triangle choke as well. So throws up a lot of submissions. I do see there's a world, though, where Mearns is able to kind of control him, but I really think that I think Gilbert is the real deal. Mearns approaching his late 30s at this point as well. I think that the speed, the stance switching of Gilbert could pose some problems. I also think that if Mearns is able to control him, I am concerned with Gilbert getting a little too in love with those triangles against a certain level. But at the same point, I like Gilbert in this spot. So I am going to go with Gilbert, but I respect Mearns. I've been burned by Mearns plenty of times. Gilbert minus 260 is a rough price tag as well, so I'm not getting involved there. Liam Giddens versus Jean Ilon Kaulamala. Liam Giddens just getting a gift here. They want to have the Nightmare looking good. I think they want to get him onto the Contender Series. Looked excellent in his last couple fights. Honestly, that Edwards Walls fight as well. He's just turned up another level since the Kingsley Crawford and Geraldo Fanny fights with Geraldo Fanny. Got that knockout after Liam just kind of gassed. I think he's gotten his weight, nutrition under control much more. Jean out of Finland here. I mean, let's just be honest. He's 3 straight losses coming into this against 3 straight wins. The losses coming to Farid Basharat, Jacob Tichota, so 2 undefeated guys, and then Leonardo Sinus. Just overall, he's lost quite a bit lately. Has some no contests in there. Has a win over Thomas Gronval over with Cage, so that is a decent split win, but still, Liam Giddens is getting this done and getting it done most likely inside the distance. So Liam Giddens, last I checked, pretty huge favorite. Still a very big favorite at minus 375. I think that's parlayable, though. He's a cross parlay guy. I get it, minus 375. It is what it is, but should be a minus 600 here against the Finnish fighter. So he's going to roll. Next fight, 135. Really excited to see the 22-year-old out of Iran, Charizard Quandrian, taking out Wesley Maia. So right away, I think they're giving the Lion a very good test. Good striker out of Diesel Gym. Got the 3rd round TKO in his last fight against undefeated Pav Sahota with Vita. Very good fight there. Had his initial debut scrapped back in March, unfortunately, due to his opponent not being medically cleared. Now he's getting, I think, a little bit tougher of an opponent in the 7-5 Wesley Maia. Wesley's faced a good level of competition, but 7-5 again. But still, the Brazilian Great Britain top team coming off of that win against Bogdan Barbu, put him away with the rear naked choke. Before that was controlled in the wrestling and the physicality with Rory Evans and Michel Martingoni. Two good level of opponents. Has lost to really only good levels of opponents other than Natan Diaz, which was by a leg injury. Herbert Souza, Jack Shore, both really good grapplers. Martingoni and Evans, very good grapplers. Beat Adam Wilson, an undefeated product, knocked him out at the end of the first round. Really impressive there. Decent with the striking and the grappling, but I just think that Charizard is much more well-rounded, a stronger guy. I look for him to get the KO in this spot, but I'm a Charizard believer. Fury, I don't know if you just popped in here, but yeah, Giddens definitely a parlay piece. Maia flying knee could be. Definitely this is a tough initial test, so that's one of my big worries with Condrian here. And he's minus 200. I think that it's honestly a dog or pass. He's got to show me a little bit about a better competition at 22 years old, but plus 150 on Maia. Not getting behind that either, so I'm going to pass. But good fight there. Moving on to very physical guys here. Tako Hondu coming up from bantamweight, the Cat, and Grant Ogborn, Auggie, 2-0 versus 2-2. Taka, the Cat, is coming off of that loss to Benoit Blanc by submission. I'm a huge Benoit Blanc fan. Now up to featherweight after the bantamweight appearance down there. I don't know how he was making bantamweight, but yeah, definitely I think came at the price of the gas tank. He's a hard hitter for sure. Very physical, can be controlled in the grappling, however, and that is where Grant Ogborn is going to look to take this fight 4-0, 4 straight wins going back to his amateur career. Had a fight with Nick Bagley originally scheduled here, much different level of opponent now in Taka, but has looked good ground and pound, good wrestling. Definitely goes to it pretty early. I think that, Taka always has it with the hands, but I think that Grant is just another level, much more well-rounded. I agree with you, Furio. Good to be on the same side as you with this one. I think Grant has a good team behind him as well. Seems to be very well prepared. So I like Grant Ogborn here as well. The price on him is currently at minus 190. So you're getting a better price here. And I do think that this is a little more of a better realistic opponent for the 2-0 than 7-5 Wesley Maia even. That could be a trap. Next fight, Jesse Holland versus Omeal Brown. These are two guys at welterweight that I've, had differing thoughts on. Jesse went into the fight with Medeiros Fluminense with just about the worst game plan you could have against him. He did gas out there, but I do think that in general, I'm going to trust what I've seen out of him through his career. But my biggest problem is a lot of it was in Cage, not Cage Warriors. When he came over to Cage Warriors, though, he did look pretty competent and looked to have the skills transferring over. I think that he's going to really be cautious in the first round. I don't think he's going to be desperate for the takedowns. And Grant Giddens parlay, started off with that. Personally, I like Anders Sanchez as well, if you want to get real nasty with it. I really think he takes it to Creasey. But, I think Jesse just the gas tank is going to be a big issue for Omeal. Those first 4 minutes, Omeal lands a clean shot on Jesse. He puts him away, in my opinion, though. I hope I don't see those guillotines getting pulled just because of some early successes against lower levels of competition. But, he's got good power. He's got good knockout power into the second round as well. So, it's that first half of the fight. I do think that Omeal is Omeal's best shot. I think Jesse's good enough and smart enough to avoid it, but he's 34 years old now. There's a lot of kind of worries here, and you got a plus 110 Omeal Brown. I get people taking the shot on him. I'm going to go with the minus 145 Jesse Holland, and I most likely will be involving him with another fighter on the card. So I like Jesse here. I think he uses the grappling and kind of gasses out his opponents. Next fight, two amateurs here that we just don't know a lot about. Angus Hewitt, 0-1 as a pro, got knocked out in about 2 minutes by his first opponent, Paddy McCroy, at middleweight. He's now moving. He's staying at middleweight here. Very successful amateur. Good mix of wrestling and wrestling and strikes. Conor Hayes, probably the more hyped up prospect coming into this one, undefeated as an amateur as well. More unique with the grappling and tends to take it there. I think this fight's going to be very close. It might come down to who's sharper on the feet, and that might be Angus Hewitt. I don't know, but I think it's going to be a close fight. Two close grapplers. Angus Hewitt, Conor Hayes. I'm not going to get involved with it either way. And I think Conor Hayes at minus 400 is ridiculous. So if you're taking a shot on this one, Angus Hewitt at plus 275, I don't hate it. McCroy, I get it. He went on and had a tough sophomore fight, but McCroy's no slouch either. So I think that line's off. Dog or pass for me. Most likely pass. Second to last prelim here on the Cage Warriors card, Will Curry, Jorge Bueno. Jorge Bueno, only got to see one of Jorge's. Angus is being he's being judged on a 2-minute pro debut, I feel like. These guys are two good grapplers. They're going to cancel each other out a lot. And if anything, I think Angus might be sharper when it comes. So, and then Finland Khabib, yes. We're going to hang on to Finland Khabib. Will Curry and Jorge Bueno. This is a tough fight for me because Jorge Bueno, I like what I saw in the one fight I saw. It was with Octagon against an undefeated striker. Took him down, got his back very quick. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Very, very, like fire hydrant kind of body style. Good power on the feet as well. Seems to be more confident on the feet because of his jiu-jitsu ability. So those are all things I do like. But it's the only fight I was able to see of him. Has a couple decision losses, to not bad levels of competition. And Will Curry is pretty good, man. He's coming off that loss to Mixed In, though. And that is a little bit concerning to me. But Mixed In looking much sharper as of late. The wins, the Nogales win really looked good in that fight. I like Nogales a lot in that one. Michael Chamo was able to take him down and just put him away. So really handled the physicality well there. But it is with Curry. He's a very big front runner. He's facing an unknown guy, I think, with a lot of plus skills who might be very tough to take down. So this is another fight where I don't like the price tag on Will Curry. Minus 550, I think, is insane. Plus 360 on the unknown Brazilian Jorge Bueno. This is another one where, for me, it's dog or pass. Plus 360 on Jorge, I don't think is unjustified either, if you're taking a shot on it. But it's just a lack of information I have to feel fully confident in it. And with Will Curry, again, the Mixed In fight troubling. Both Christian Leroy Duncan fights, very troubling but good fighter. We see what he does against a Patrick Valley and Nicholas Saltiev. Nogales, I give him credit for that. He looked really good in that fight and went the distance. So that was important to me. But yeah, it's dog or pass. I guess I'd take Will Curry. Bueno is I said that Bueno's a BJJ black belt and took that back very quickly of his undefeated opponent with Octagon. So he's, there's a lot of unknowns here. I'd say dog or pass here in this one as well. Vitor Estevam versus Harry Hardwick. This is the featured prelim. I think mostly because of Mr. Hardwick. I'll be honest, Vitor, not really too impressed with what I saw of him. He is on Team Nogueira, 3 KOs and 3 decisions on his record. Last 3 fights coming by decision, all with 2 with jungle fights, 1 with a debuting fighter. Just not facing a very high level of competition. He is mostly a boxer as well. I think that Harry Hardwick just needed someone to fight. They want to get both Hardwicks into the UFC. 4-fight win streak with the draw in between against Pascual Lally. I'd like to see that fight booked back up, but he's looked very good. Much better grappler than his brother, a little more technical. I just think he knows to stay in the grappling range in this one and make Vitor work. Harry will be in the UFC very soon, and I think that the Shoaib Youssef fight would have been really interesting to see. He is coming off of an injury, however, so be interested to see how he bounces back from that. But I do think Harry Hardwick will be in the UFC before too long. The fight has no line currently, but it's it's going to be a pretty massive favorite for Harry Hardwick here. Oh, minus 460, sorry. Parlay him. He is going to take out Vitor and give Vitor his first loss, in my opinion. I didn't see a ton in the opponents or in Vitor that really gave me the pause. Yes, if he stays on the feet, I guess. But next, we got another guy who's going to be in the UFC before too long, featherweight Luke Riley, taking on Matthias Malta here. This should be a fun fight, man. I like Matthias Malta. I like what I've watched out of him. Dude's a scrapper, 10-3 on Novo Union, mostly known for the Jits. However, went back and got to watch quite a few of his fights. Very entertaining fighter. Has tested himself for the most part, and he's never been finished. So Luke Riley gonna have his kind of work out for him in that way. Very tough opponent, but Luke Riley's only gone to the decision one time in his last fight with Callum Parker, and did not seem to slow down there. Otherwise, he does break down his opponents, works to the body really well, good power, great hair. I think Luke Riley, could is going to be very motivated to get the finish in here. So I do like him inside the distance. Facing the Brazilian, I respect him a lot, but at the same point, I definitely think, what up, Trot? Good to have you here, man. Definitely a spot where I think that Luke Riley gets the finish, and I think that's where you can cut down this price a little bit on him. He's at minus 600 against, a tough opponent, but that's how good Luke Riley is. So inside the distance probably can get you close to even money, or maybe not. It's probably like a minus 250. Honestly, Luke Riley's pretty unbettable here, most likely. So, but he is that good. I think that the price he should justify, but Malta at plus 385 right now, if you're so interested in that side. Daniel Skibinski versus Medeiros Flaminis, two guys who are starting to age a little bit. Daniel Skibinski, nearly 33, 35 years old for Medeiros, a lot to be in Express Flaminis. I'm a huge Medeiros fan, man. He bounced back from the loss to Pedersoli, which he just looked like he had just about the worst cut he'd ever had in his life, and just did not look himself at all in that fight. Made Carlo Pedersoli look like he belonged in the UFC. But before that, the wins over Oban Elliott, Jesse Urholin, finish Khabib, losing to very high-level guys, Adam Proctor, Matthias Figolak, Jack Grant. So good guys for sure. Often gets exposed in the grappling after the gas tank does wear down at times. But the Alexei Matkiev fight really, really looked good there. I like that he went the distance, but really showed good IQ in that fight. Skibinski coming off the win of Omeal Brown, definitely a big upset win in there. I was very much on Omeal in that spot, but still 3 straight losses before that. Made Jim Wallhead look like God at 42 years old. Justin Burleson getting the guillotine choke in round 2, and then getting finished by Abdullayev in 45 seconds. So I definitely think Medeiros is going to put on the pace in this fight. I don't think that Skibinski has really a game to really get to Medeiros Flaminis. Omeal was making some horrible errors in that fight as well. I think Medeiros has a much stronger IQ, and I think he's still being judged for losing to Carlo Pedersoli so badly. So we're getting a pick 'em price on Medeiros here. I like Medeiros here. Jumping Gilly over and over, exactly, over and over. I like Medeiros here. I think he gets finished. I think he gets a finish. Round 2 sub. Why not? I like Moises' call there. So round 2 sub works for me. Medeiros, I like him minus 115 on both sides. I think Medeiros can be included in a parlay or two with your choice of fighters. So I like it quite a bit here. Got to move on. Diego Silva, man, I think that his best performance ever against Arguda, where he came up just short in that 5-round fight with the LFA. Then I think, showed more of his level in the next fight there with Gafarov, where Gafarov just or the next fight with Askar, he went to a split. Decent, but Askar not great. Munin Gafarov with that spinning back kick in the 3rd round and just overall handled him in that fight. I think that kind of showed the level of Diego Silva. He's been controlled by Russell Doan. He's been controlled by Jay Perrin. And I think Morgan Charrier is definitely on that level, the last Pirate. Still only 27 years old. I think he will make it over to the UFC at some point, at least a Contender Series. Coming off of 2 straight wins, a split win against Daniel Bazant, however. Definitely troubling, but bounced back against the 18-4 Pedro Souza. Got the doctor's stoppage, and that one looked much better. Split loss to Jordan Vucenic. Majority loss to Paul Hughes. Those are 2 fights that have aged pretty well. Had the finish of Dean Truman back in the day. The body shot finish of Perry Goodwin, a very tough guy. Morgan he's mean, man. Sometimes he just gets a little bit too tentative. I don't think that happens here. I think he puts away Diego Silva, and I like Morgan as a parlay piece as well. I think that Morgan looks his old self. Minus 260, I think, is a great price on him here against Silva as well, and I like him inside the distance, as I said. Jordan Vogenic taking on Bryce Picard. All right, I have several people who are close to the Vogenic camp. I have talked with my Vogenic information. Vogenic looking good for the cut. He's been preparing really well. He's looking very sharp. Still only 27 years old. I get it. He came up short in the last fight, but still, a guy like Bryce Picard is not going to be testing Vogenic. I think Vogenic buzzes through him and cruises minus 1,100. No hot take there. There's no argument for Bryce Picard in this spot. And Vogenic gets it done inside the distance. Blood, sweat, and tears with a couple guys on this card. Main event time. It's a rematch of a fight where James Webb absolutely dominated Mick Stanton. I'll be honest. I get it with James Webb. The questions are always gas tank and the chin. And with Mick Stanton, I just don't think – I get it, he has some knockouts on his record. He has to stack it up and build up that damage as the fight goes. I don't think he's going to be able to get that early finish, but if he's really focused on just the wrestling and defending the takedowns and making Webb work in stand-up space, I do think that's going to wear on Webb as this fight goes on. And with this being a championship fight, it is also 5 rounds. So we, have the questions throughout this fight. I do think Stanton is someone who has really improved on the grappling over these past 3 years. But if Webb can get into that comfort zone, I could see him kind of just building up the rounds. But at the same point, I don't think that Webb is going to be able to get the finish. So I am curious if Mick extends the gas tank and ends up building up the damage, getting a later KO. I can't quite get there, honestly, but I can understand anybody who does. I'm not looking to bet Webb either. Webb is only minus 130, though, against a guy who, if he gets it into his realm, I think he really can cruise from that realm, be pretty confident in that realm. Mick really did not threaten from there, but we shall see. I think it's an interesting fight. I get the people who are on the Mick side. He is at even money now, so that money has been coming in on Mick Stanton. I'm going to stick with Webb here, and I'm not betting it. Going to move over to the Cage Warriors, or the LFA card now, and then we'll call it a day. Definitely went into a little more detail than I was expecting with those fights, but it's all good. Again, thank you everybody who's joining the the breakdown today. Sorry, they've been a little more all over the place lately. Time's become a little more limited than it was previously, but still trying to get out all the LFA and Cage Warriors I can. So LFA 163 headlined by Elijah Johns and Javier Garcia for the LFA featherweight title. I love me some Javier Garcia. I'm glad that he is back in the LFA after a quick stint out of it, but dude's just so fun to watch. So we'll get into this card, just doing the main card for this one. But it's a pretty decent main card. First fight at 205. Don't have a ton of thoughts on this. Is Kyler Fairchild versus Alec Lorenz. This is, the fight. This is a fight on the main card that I have the least thoughts on, if I'm being honest. But Alec Lorenz out of Iowa, 2-1, 26 years old, known for the strikes, been knocked out in 33 seconds, albeit by Darian Abbey, a 2-3 fighter with caged aggression, and then knocked out his other two opponents in the first round. Hasn't had a fight go over 3 minutes yet, including as an amateur, putting away most of his opponents. Not high level of opponents. Kyler Fairchild, also 2-1, coming off of a win. Got knocked out by Ja'Cory Savage in round 2. Ja'Cory Savage, not a bad fighter at all. That was at heavyweight as well, so bigger opponent. Moved down to light heavyweight, used the Von Flue choke in round 3. Also a striker himself, but does have a little more the jits. I think that this one probably ends with someone going to sleep. So I think that Kyler Fairchild is my side at -150. I am not betting it. If you want Alec at +120, go for it. I think that Kyler's been in there with some bigger opponents and the better level of opponents in a very short career. So give me Kyler Fairchild -150. Probably not getting there. This, most likely, my fight of the night. Kevin Fernandez, Javier Cepeda here. Really like what I've seen on Kevin Fernandez. Very explosive jiu-jitsu as well as good striker, nice long striker. Javier Cepeda, pure boxer, pure striker. Just as a boxer, he hasn't done great, but as a MMA fighter, 3 fights, 3 knockouts, and they've been fun to watch, man. I really like what I'm seeing out of Javier here, and I get Kevin Fernandez pretty hyped up here, but I like this 28-year-old a lot. The Miguel Perez fight just really dealt with some good adversity at times in that fight, and a lot of spinning techniques, good, tough opponent, and he just kept breaking him down until he made him quit at the end of the round 1. Really heavy with the strikes. Again, seems that he just kind of thrives in those dogfight type of situations. I think Kevin Fernandez is a much more technical fighter, 5-1, also 23 years old, though, so a few years younger, and that might hurt him in this spot. Jordan Harris was able to get the decision over with LFA. That was on the that was him on the main card as a very heavy favorite before as well, -500 favorite. Took on Jorovic Acevedo in the prelims after that, and then went over to XKO. Got the knockout of Rashawn Robinson, but Rashawn Robinson was kind of hanging in there at times. And again, Kevin, I think, likes to go to war a little bit too much. I'd like to see him go to the jiu-jitsu early and often in this one. I would think that's where he has the advantage, but he's kind of shown me a little bit too much that he's willing to go get in there and kind of bang. And I'm taking a shot on Mr. Cepeda at +285. I do think he's the type of guy who's going to fight for your money. I get it, he's 0-3 as a pro boxer, but the boxing looks sharp over in the MMA realm. And I think that if he can get Fernandez to play into his game a little bit, I don't know enough about his jiu-jitsu. So I think Kevin's best route would be to use the wrestling jiu-jitsu. Maybe he justifies the -425, but he's shown before the Josh Harris fight where he was a large favorite and kind of had a clear route and he didn't take it, decided to go to battle. I think the 23-year-old might be a victim of his youth again. So I'm going with Cepeda +300 or +285 right now. So maybe it goes up a little bit by the fight tomorrow, but we shall see. Angel Alvarez, Milko Tutko. Milko Tutko, Tattoo out of Peru. Shorter fighter. He's a scrapper, man. He's very, very difficult to take down. Good grappler. For sure. Olivier Murad, who at one point was undefeated in a prospect, not really anymore. And Tutko kind of was the beginning of solving that issue there. See the submissions on his record. He's faced a decent level of competition. Faced Eric Gonzalez, went to a decision over with Combate. William Starks went to a decision. And then Dakota Hope, who I don't know as much about, but another good fighter. Now he's in there with another 5-1 fighter. Tutko doesn't say no to anybody, but, and he's tough to get out of there going to a decision in all of his losses. The Salsa King, Angel Alvarez, 5-1, coming off a loss to Enrique Gonzalez, back with Combate last July. So he's been off for over a year now. Had a few fights scheduled that got scrapped. He has gone to a decision in 2 of his fights. He's faced an okay level of competition. But this is a spot where I'm not looking to get too involved here because I just don't know enough about the Salsa King, and Tutko has shown before that he's very tough against a decent level of competition, and at least making it to a distance. So I'm gonna pass on this one. But yeah, I think Tutko could be another decent dog. Angel Alvarez -375. I think one of these big dogs will come through at least, and that very well could be the one. Landry Ward, Matthias Pereira here at 145, third from the top. Another, this is a fight that got put together later, I believe, and so I don't have a line on it right now. Overall, I think that I would line towards the Killcliff product, but at the same point, Matthias, a very tough guy himself, Matthias Pereira, Pellezinho, especially in the grappling. All 10 of his wins coming through grappling. He's been knocked out in three of his 4 losses, though, including a submission loss to Yves Landau as well. He's faced a so-so level of competition. Definitely looking to get it to the grappling realm. The Killcliff product, Landry Ward, very much a KO and a stand-up striker. No submissions on his record. Gone to decision a few times as well. Lost a decision to Jair Perez with Combate Global. Just not enough known here. Going to be curious about the line as well. I would edge towards Matthias Pereira in the submission, however. But, I mean, Landry has some decent hands as well. So anything could happen here. William Starks versus Johnny Hopper. Went back and watched a lot of Johnny Hopper tape. Very good, stand-up guy, very aggressive there. Will use the wrestling at times. Kind of reminds me of Shane Burgos in a lot of ways, including in the look and the fight of Elite Edge MMA. Just got kind of exposed against Josh Roller, though, both on the feet defensively. Johnny Hopper just does not possess defensive skills. Shannon Ross-esque defense, if you will. And William Starks just is extremely technical, and the biggest issue with William Starks is sometimes he just takes a little bit too much of a methodical approach, and I don't love that. Johnny Hopper was facing a pretty low level of competition over with Anthony Pettis FC, and Jacob Kindig was landing quite a few shots as well before he got knocked out. The Juan Romero-Roman fight I wasn't able to watch, and then William Starks. He's well-rounded everywhere. The decision kind of dominance he put on Manny Muro. Manny Muro's no joke, man. He's faced and beat a lot of good fighters. The ground and pound finish of a guy who's clearly over the level of Ben Halder. I think he learned from the Glaciolo-Zario fight that he can't wait that long to get started. Also has a win over Milko Tutko on his record as well. So he has the win over Borashov with LFA, Slava Claus as well, where he just used the wrestling, very intelligent with the wrestling, didn't entertain the striking like he probably won't in this fight with Johnny Hopper. But even if he does, I think on the feet William Starks is going to land as much or more than Johnny Hopper will be able to land in. So William Starks, to me, goes in there and gets a finish, most likely takes him down and submits him similar to Roller. But again, Roller was an 8-6 wrestler who was landed on the feet with the jabs and everything else. Main event time for the LFA Featherweight Championship. We got Elijah Johns. We got Javier Garcia. Elijah Johns is going to probably get off to a good start. And one thing that I think is to watch in this is I'd like to see Elijah Johns throwing some of those head kicks that he has started to really fall in love with, because one thing Javier Garcia does in every one of his fights is he dips his head down. And if he starts with some body kicks and then mixes up to body, legs, and then goes up top, I think he could catch Javier Garcia there. However, I ain't trusting Elijah Johns, man. I just don't trust him as far as I can throw him, and I'm not very strong. I know he's only 27 years old, Fortis MMA. He's going to have his screaming coach at Safe Saeed in his corner, yelling at him, how bad do you want this after the second or third round? If I hear that, it will be music to my ears, because Javier Garcia catches that back quick, man. He's going to play a one track and one track only, and he's going to grapple. He's going to make it scrambles. He's going to make him tired. And he doesn't have bad stand-up either. He's really active with the jab, good with the movement, but he's not looking to knock you out. He's looking to set it up, exhaust you, and get it to the ground here. And I really do feel that in this spot, I like the dog, man. The dog is plus 225 in Javier Garcia. This is disrespectful. Disrespectful. Elijah Johns at minus 310. If you're trusting that, God bless you, and please put it in the comments why we should trust Elijah Johns to that level. Javier Garcia, I get it. 10-5 CSW training in California. Good camp there. The Leandro Gomez fight was another example of just completely counted out. He was a plus 220 dog. We cashed on him that night. Snatched that back and put away Leandro Gomez at the end of that round. Was able to survive himself pretty well with the jiu-jitsu guy in Gomez, who was also pretty strong as top, was able to sweep and get his back. And then LFA's like, we're going to just let you go. Went and took on Albert Morales. I get it. Former UFC fighter, flame out, but still went the distance with him there. Looking to be more and more competent on the feet. And again, the wrestling and the grappling and the cardio, all things I hugely like out of him. The Chase Gibson fight, I think Chase Gibson would beat Elijah Johns too. So Elijah Johns to me 9-2. Last couple wins after a split loss to Souza, which wasn't even a split to me, and he just blew it, honestly. Just not facing a great level of competition. Facing guys like Zach Kelly, 9-21, and he ground pound him. Then going to decision with Luke Fulkersack, the Bruno Souza fight, even the Brandon Phillips fight. I mean, he was so much bigger and more dominant. He really should have been able to work that one. And then got a 5-1 Japanese fighter in Mats Kawana. And Kawana was landing in the third round. It was, after Elijah Johns had dead to rights, absolutely dead to rights. He will have those peaks. He has those valleys. Maybe he comes in here and just uses the wrestling top game control and kind of cruises here. Maybe he lands that head kick that I do think could be a very live spot. I'm betting Javier Garcia at plus 225, though, because I do see multiple routes for Javier Garcia. I think he's very, very smart, and he's better than indicated from the record. Yes, he has a loss to Reston Wilson by submission back in 2019. That is troubling. He also did lose to Bruno Souza, so I will say that. And, been submitted by Gabe Green, but I think the losses have made him much better. And I think as of late, I like the performances I've been seeing out of Javier Garcia. So I'm taking a shot on Javier Garcia at plus 225. I just like him in this spot. William Starks, another guy I like on this card. He's minus 325, however. So that is a pretty tough price tag, but so I have a couple big dogs on the LFA that I am betting, and Javier Cepeda and Javier Garcia. So the Javier dogs in season for the LFA. But yeah, that's going to do it for the Friday MMA breakdown show. I want to thank everybody who checked it out. I'm just about the worst at advertising this as anybody, but everybody who's come in here. CFFC locks tonight. Honestly, I didn't look at them really too much. So as of now, no. But Furio, do you have any CFFC thoughts before we say goodbye for the day? Because I actually don't. I'm not going to go through the card and see if I can find something. I didn't have time to look at the CFFC with the other cards. But I want to thank everybody. We got double digits here. Again, I'll put a timestamp of when the LFA starts. You have a round robin dogs you like. Do this all the time. Do this all the time. And most confident pick. So for the LFA, most confident pick. I mean, it's got to be William Starks for me in this spot. I think for the LFA over with the Cage Warriors. Let me just take a look real quick at people. I'll give you my thoughts there. It would not be James Webb. I'm not going to say Vogenic since he's minus 1100 or Charizard. But Charizard, I do like. Medeiros, Flaminas, I'm decently confident in. I like Harry Hardwick and Luke Riley, of course. And Jesse Orolian, I don't mind. Grant Ogborn, I like. Liam Giddens. Liam Giddens, I think, should be in parlays for everybody as well. So Liam Giddens from the Cage Warriors card would be my most confident to answer that longly, and William Starks from the LFA. So those two together can almost get you to even money. Throw in another one of the confident picks, but yeah, I do round robin dogs I like over the weekend quite a bit, especially when I have the amount of dogs I do over the next few days. So I think it's a really smart way to go. But if anybody has any CFFC's thoughts, I'll give it another 30 seconds. Otherwise, appreciate you guys checking out. Check out the UFC show every Wednesday with myself and just my 2 cents. Wednesdays at 5 p.m. now because your boy's going back to school. But either way, appreciate everybody for joining us. If I have any thoughts on CFFC, Robert Watley in CFFC. We're on Robert Watley. That is a blind follow of Furio because, honestly, I'll do it from time to time when he's covering the ACA, when he's covering the CFFC, the stuff that I'm not covering. I believe in it, Furio, so let's go Robert Watley. I am familiar with the name, but haven't looked into it. So thank you, everybody, for checking out the Friday MMA Breakdown show, UFC show, as well, in Dorshiev. So Robert Watley and Dorshiev. Should we parlay those two together? So that's the thoughts. So Robert Watley and Dorshiev for the CFFC card, little free Fury preview there. And then, that will do it for the LFA Cage Warriors show, UFC show already on the channel. Thank you, everybody. Good luck tonight and throughout the weekend. Peace out.